This is the Charisma News on the Charisma Podcast Network. One daily news story, well told. I'm Taylor. In 2014, a major Christian TV network nearly fell apart after a scandal at the very top. Now, just 2 years later, the network is on the road to success. Find out more after this break. We are living in one of the most violent, chaotic, and permissive times in history, and each year, the darkness looms larger. In the face of such overwhelming evil, what can we do? In his new empowering and practical book, A Time to Triumph, Chuck D. Pierce shows how you can be a part of God's kingdom army and identifies the supernatural weapons you have at your fingertips. Offering a glimpse into what lies ahead, specifically over the next 10 years, he explains how the Antichrist system is aligning with existing government structures, how Israel, China, and Russia will play crucial roles in world events and the end times, how prophecies are being fulfilled through blood moons, the coming harvest in the church, and much more. Many kingdoms are vying to rule. As believers in Jesus Christ, we must stand strong and know the spiritual forces we're facing. The war will intensify, but the best for God's children lies on the road ahead. It's time to fight as never before, and for God's kingdom to triumph. You can order the book now by calling 888-965-1099. That's 888-965-1099, or by going to gloryofzion.org. In 2014, God TV co-founder Rory Alec resigned from his position as chairman and CEO of the network. He had co-founded it 20 years earlier with his wife, Wendy, but he admitted publicly that after a moral failure, he needed to leave the international faith-based TV channel. Wendy Alec later went on to say, "I don't know what the outcome will be, but I have absolute trust in God. From this time forth, there's going to be the release of a prophetic fire mantle on God TV that is going to hang the enemy on his own gallows for this attack on God TV. We will expand and explode, and this mantle is going to bring the glory of God like never before." 2 years later, and God TV believes it has found its new, God-given leader. Ward Simpson was recently appointed as CEO. Simpson has experience with both business and ministry in his background. He was a senior executive and manager for an international car distribution company, as well as a leader in the Brownsville revival of Pensacola, Florida. Simpson said, "I am privileged to lead God TV into this next season. I believe God has so much more ahead for the God TV team and our partners as we continue to touch lives around the globe." Pray for the future of God TV, that the network can continue to change hearts for Christ all around the world. And if you enjoyed today's story, you can hear more stories on At Work with God. You can find that show and many more at cpnshows.com. Thanks for listening to the Charisma News Podcast. One story, well told. To hear more stories, visit us online at charismanews.com or check out the podcast every weekday.
This has been a production of the Charisma Podcast Network. Steve and Joy Strang are the founders and owners of CPN. Dr. Steve Green is the executive producer of the Charisma Podcast Network. We intend to honor God with every podcast and remain thankful to our advertisers and supporters who make these podcasts possible.